so we are take 2 at PO18. Yesterday, I think we started a bit confuzzled. Hopefully, things were made clear by the time you walked out the door. But a second crack at it today to get questions answered and figure out what exactly functional notation is all about. Let's start by defining it. For those that weren't here yesterday, what definition did we put down for function notation? What does it do? What's its purpose? James.
Way to identify a relation.
Okay. It is a way to identify a relation as a what?
As a labeled graph.
It's a way to identify a relation as a function. Okay? It's a way to identify a relation as a function. If you see function notation, whatever relation it's referring to, a table, a graph, or whatever, it's guaranteed to be a function. Right? That's the first thing. Second thing, James, as well as what?
As well as a label graph.
As well as label graphs on the coordinate plane. And we talked about that yesterday. If I'm describing these relations to you, it doesn't sound very mathematical for me to say, look at the u, right? Look at f of x. And you know that the u is the f of x because it says f of x, right? You know that the straight line is g of x because it says g of x. Both are function notation, just they're different because they're different graphs, right? If we had a third graph, you'd probably see an h of x. F, G, H are the most commonly used letters for function notation. Okay. Then we got into a big discussion about what function notation will ask you to do. Okay. We said for the f of x graph, what is the y value when x equals -2? Right. And what that looks like, you'll see it on your homework if you glance down the page there. It says f of -2. What this tells you, the f refers to which relation you're looking at. The -2 is the value for x, right? If you think of f of x and then f of -2, we replaced x with -2, right? So I'm giving you the value for x, you give me the value for y. And what we did was we said, well, where's -2 on the coordinate plane? X equals -2 right here. We drew an imaginary vertical line through x equals -2. We said, where's our f relation? Cross that imaginary vertical line, and that was up at +5, right? So f of -2, the y value is 5. Right? Any lingering questions from that from yesterday? No? Okay. Are we sure? It is. You are at a disadvantage because you weren't here yesterday. Yes, that is accurate.
I think the things don't write down. So G is which line again?
G of x is the straight line,
Okay.
and f of x is the u. All right? Yeah.
For telling what line or what graph is which graph, would it be the closest one to that?
Yes. Yeah, you would not have any confusion thinking that the straight line is the f of x line because the position of f of x is right next to the u and g of x is right next to the line. Okay? Anything else? Okay. So, in a nutshell, right? We're going to scroll down here. Okay? Find f of 2 when f of x equals 5x minus 4. Do you remember slope-intercept form from last year? Y equals mx plus b. Okay, you'll notice that a lot of these equations are in that form, right? 5x minus 4, 12x plus 10, 6x plus 8. That's intentional because it might be helpful to think about this as y equals 5x minus 4. F of x, g of x, h of x are really just fancy ways to write y. The reason why we don't just put y is, remember, this tells us that it is a function, that x has exactly one corresponding y, okay? So in your homework, on a test, whatever, when it says find f of 2 when f of x equals 5x minus 4 means solve for y when x equals 2. Find f of 2 when f of x equals 5x minus 4 means solve for y when x equals 2. We don't have a graph to look at here. We don't have a coordinate plane relation. We have an equation. Okay? So what we do is we replace x with 2 and solve for y. I'll do it over here. Y equals 5x minus 4. Y equals 5 times 2, because that was the value that we were given for x, right? We replaced x with a 2, so in the equation, replace x with a 2, and what do we get? What is 5 times 2 minus 4?
6.
6. So, y equals 6. Okay? And that means that the ordered pair 2, 6 would be on the graph of that equation. Because when x equals 2, y equals 6. We did not get this far. This is new for everybody. We just did the top right yesterday. Yeah?
So basically you're just plugging the parentheses in.
Exactly. You are basically taking the number in the parentheses, replacing x with that number in the equation, and solving for y. Okay? So, the practice here says use f of x equals x squared minus 5 and g of x equals 12x plus 10 to find f of 4. Look at the f. Which equation are we plugging that into? The f of x equation, right? When we get over here, g of 6, now we're using the g equation, right? That letter before the number tells you which relation to use. And the number in parentheses, we've replaced x with 4. So in the equation, the f of x equation, f of x equals x squared minus 5. F of x is really just a fancy way to write the variable y. So y equals x squared minus 5. We're replacing x with 4. And what is 4 squared minus 5? 11. So y equals 11. It does say write the ordered pair. What this means is that the ordered pair 4, 11 is on this relation. Yeah, go ahead. It's worth asking.
Why did you square this stuff?
I squared it because that's what the original equation said. Right? The original f of x equation was x squared minus 5. So when I plug that 4 in for x in the equation, it becomes 4 squared minus 5. Okay? Gus?
Do we have to write all that out, or can we just put it in our calculator?
You need to show the word. Yep, you need to show the word. On the test, no. Here, yes. Okay. James?
Can I show them the pencil?
Must you?
You just need. I don't need one pencil.
Evelyn's got your back. Thank you, Evelyn.
I just,
Of course you did. That looks intentional.
no. Dude, come on.
If you must. Okay?
That's mine.
All right, next one. F of negative 3. Which equation are we plugging negative 3 into? Which equation are we plugging negative 3 into? F of x, right? F of negative 3. So, f of x equals x squared minus 5. F of x is really just a fancy way to write y. So, same equation as before, right? Y equals x squared minus 5. This time, no. We want to know what y is when x is negative 3 rather than 4. So, nothing changes. We're plugging negative 3 in for x. Why did I put negative 3 in parentheses? Because we're squaring a negative number. If you're using your calculator for this, make sure you put parentheses around the negative 3 because that negative sign is part of the base, right? We're squaring x. X is negative, therefore we are squaring a negative value. What do we get? What is negative 3 squared minus 5?
Negative
9.
Oh,
What is negative 3 squared minus 5?
positive 9.
Well, negative 3 squared is positive 9, and then minus 5, you get 4 as an answer. If you got negative 14 as a final answer, then you did not put parentheses around the negative 3. Okay, there's a difference with parentheses around a negative sign when you square it without parentheses, okay? And so the ordered pair, what we just discovered is that when x is -3, y is 4. Okay? When x is -3, y is 4. Luca, ask it. What?
This doesn't make sense, but yeah.
I'm lost.
Which part?
The whole second question.
Whole second question. Okay. F of -3. Which equation are we plugging -3 into? F of x. That's why I have it written here, right? X squared minus 5. F of x is just a fancy way to write y. Because if we're given a value for x, we're solving for y. So I just replaced f of x with y. And then I took this -3 and I plugged it in for x in the equation.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yep.
-3 squared is positive 9. 9 minus 5 is 4. And that's how we get -3, 4 as an ordered pair. Okay? The next one, g of 6. Which equation are we using? G this time, right? G this time. So g of x equals 12x plus 10, which g of x is still just a fancy way to write y. It's the same thing as f of x, only it helps us identify which equation to use. We are replacing x with 6. G of 6 means we're replacing x with 6 to solve for y. And what is 12 times 6 plus 10? 82. So what we just found out is that the ordered pair 682 would be on the graph of that equation. Okay? Do the next two on your own.
Well, how are we gonna learn if he's just like doing them all for you?
We'll go over them, but try them yourself, right? Give them a shot. If you make a mistake, you're welcome to sing the song.
Hear that?
Can you remind me
I thought you said you weren't gonna sing it.
I took a day break, and I'm feeling better about myself. Self-esteem is rising. If I make a whoopsie-doo, then I will gladly sing for you.
You did make one too.
sing a one.
Wait, did you hear that?
No.
Marker.
Yeah, you
That has already
You have
been
to sing it
sung.
for the Sharpie. It's
I
never sung
can't.
it, even though you did the Sharpie.
I already sang it for that.
Pass it.
No, you didn't.
Pretty sure I did.
You did.
100.
I can vouch.
You lied to us about being on The Voice. That's a big story.
That's not
He was never.
Yes, it is.
That was just funny.
You never lie.
Are you practicing this?
Oh, work on your math.
I like this.
Why am I here?
Like really hard.
Your g of 0, you're using the g of x equation, right? So y equals 12x plus 10. You are plugging 0 in for x. So y equals 12 times 0 plus 10. That's a really good circle. 12 times 0 plus 10. And Aiden, what'd you get? Not x equals 10. Y equals 10, right? We plug the value in for x to solve for y. So x equals 0, y equals 10. That gives us the ordered pair. When x is 0, y is 10, 0, 10. Why is it y? Because you were given a value for x. If you know what x is, you're not solving for x, right? You know what x is, you're trying to figure out what y is, because y equals 12 times 0 plus 10 or whatever, yeah. The last one, g of -8. You're plugging -8 in for x in the g equation, so y equals 12x plus 10. Y equals 12 times -8. plus 10. Who's bold, brave? Who's got it? Mario?
Negative 86.
Negative 86. Y equals negative 86. So what we learned, the ordered pair, negative 8, negative 86 is on that line.
That was really fast.
I gave you time to do it yourself.
I know, I didn't finish that fast.
Funny how that works. All right. Any questions on this?
Yes, wait. The next one, please.
Because now we're going to go the other way. Christopher,
Huh?
what you got?
I don't have, this is like very, very confusing. I don't know how to do this.
What we just did here? These
Yeah, I'm
these
just
five
like
here?
copying it down. I don't get what you're doing.
Okay. Do you have this up here?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you see this letter followed by a number in parentheses, right? We're giving you the x value to plug into the equation to solve for y. Because remember, these are functions, which means every x value is exactly one corresponding y. We want to figure out what that y value is. Okay? So f of 2 means in the f of x equation, you are replacing that x value with 2. And you're solving for y. That's why for f of 4, our x became a 4. And 4 squared minus 5 is where we got to y equals 11. When f of negative 3, our x became a negative 3.
Okay, so why are you doing -5?
Because minus 5 is part of the equation,
What?
right? The f of x equation is x squared minus 5. So whatever x is, we square it, then subtract 5 from that. And that's what y will equal. When we got to the g of 6, now we're switching to the g equation, because that's what the g means there, right? G of 6 means in that g equation, we replace x with 6. And we solve it. 12 times 6 plus 10. G of 0 means in the g equation, we replace x with 0. G of negative 8 means we replace x with negative 8. Whatever that number in parentheses is, we're plugging that in for the x variable to solve for y.
Wait, so why not just like do it right away instead of writing x on the first?
I was just rewriting the equation out so that you could see where that negative 8 came from. I was trying to make the connection between replacing the variable with negative 8. If you don't write the original equation out first and you just jump straight to this, fine. I was trying to show all my steps. All my steps. Does that help? I mean, really, and this is a key point for a reason. This can go on a help sheet, right? So that when you see that f of 2, you know what it means. You're solving for y when x equals 2. I'm giving you x to solve for y. Okay? Anything else?
Just look now.
It does look confusing. This is new, right? It's a new way to understand the math language, right? And just like if you were learning vocab words in science or foreign language or whatever, it's going to take a little bit getting used to. Okay. So now the other way, because if in function notation we have a way to give you x to solve for y, how do we show giving you y to solve for x? Okay. And so this is a key point as well. We're on a help sheet. If you were to see for f of x equals 2x plus 1, find x when f of x equals 9. 2 hints here. Remember what f of x equals? F of x is a fancy way to write y. So if you see for f of x equals 2x plus 1, find x when y equals 9. Find x when y equals 9. You know that you're plugging this in for the y variable because I wouldn't give you x and then ask you to find x, right? That wouldn't make any sense. If I'm telling you to find x, I must be giving you y. Also, knowing that f of x equals y, you can read this as find x when y equals 9, which is exactly what this says. Solve for x when y equals 9. Okay? And look at the difference in how this is presented to you in these examples, right? In the first part, it was f of 2, f of 0, f of 6, whatever it was, right? It was the letter and then a number in parentheses. You replaced x with that number. Here, remember what f of x equals? Y equals 62. So, in the f of x equation, f of x equals 6x plus 8, I'm telling you, which we can rewrite this to be y equals 6x plus 8, I'm telling you to find x when y equals 62. So this time you're not replacing x with 62, because I want you to find x. You're replacing y with 62, because f of x is the fancy way to write y. Kind of the opposite of what we just did, right? It's opposite in the sense that in the top examples, I gave you x, you solve for y. Here, I'm giving you y to solve for x. Okay? Emmett. It is exactly a two-step equation. Yes. How would you solve for x here? What would your first step be? Subtract 8 from both sides. 62 minus 8 is 54. 54 equals 6 times x. Next step, you would divide both sides by 6, and 9 equals x. Yep, it's exactly a two-step equation. Which means, what do we learn? What ordered pair is a part of this graph of this equation? 962. 9 is the x, 62 was the given y. Okay?
That sounds easier than the first.
Really?
Yeah.
We have to do this two-step equation.
Well,
The first one is looking at it where this is an eight-step equation.
Right. Yeah. It's essentially a two-step equation. So for the next one, f of x equals 2, which really, it just says y equals 2. Okay? The reason why we write f of x and not just y is because you need to know which equation we're using. We're using the f one because it says f of x. So, again, 6x plus 8, f of x equals 6x plus 8, which is really just y equals 6x plus 8. I'm telling you that y equals 2, and you need to find x. When y equals 2 is another two-step equation. Only difference is x will be something else because now y is something else, right? James?
Can I just go 2 equals 6 plus x plus...
Yeah, if you want to jump straight down to this step here, that is fine. When I show something up on the board, I'm showing every single step, right? Especially the first time that we go through something. But as long as you're showing your work, you can skip the steps that you don't need. Okay. Evelyn.
Is this gonna be due tomorrow?
Monday actually, because tomorrow is the spelling bee, so we likely won't have class.
Oh,
Yay.
but all
we
day.
haven't done
the spelling bee? How long does spelling bee all day?
No, it's probably the first 2 periods. It could go all day if people just keep spelling words correctly.
Yes. Whoever's in spelling bee.
And we have to spell all the words.
Or if everyone gets it wrong right away, we can have class. You just never know. Yeah.
I only have to spell
You have to
all
write
the
down
words. Every single 1,000.
Yes, you do need to write out the words if you're a member of
What's
the
the
audience.
point? What if I'm
A, to keep you somewhat engaged, and B, it helps just improve your own
I'm
styles.
a band lesson.
Oh, well, there you go. It's not going to be free at home. Divide both sides by 6, yet again. This time we get -1 as our value for x, which means that the ordered pair that this passes through, -1 and 2. Couldn't find my y. -1 and 2. Okay. Your homework for Monday is to finish this section. The other 3, well, not all of them, but pay attention. Are you using g of x? Are you using f of x? Okay. And then on the second page, you do not need to do the graphs, only the first Mr. Happy Pencil section. No, we'll do it together on Monday. Okay. If you want to try it, you can go ahead and try it, but you don't need to do the bottom part. Okay. So for Monday, the rest of the first page, first 6 on the second page, save the graphs for Monday. You can try them if you want to. Yes. All right. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, compliments, congratulations, criticisms, Aiden.
When I do it, I don't get like
For this one?
no on the first page. The fourth one.
F of x equal, or g of x equals 18? Okay, which equation are you plugging that into?
Oh.
Christopher.
Oh. So wait, for that one, is all we have to do is just that f of x is 2. So that should be 2 equals 6s plus 8. For all of them, it's just you just put it right into a two-step equation and just solve that.
Yep. Yep.
You can't do.
Make sure you're putting it into the right equation. Pay attention to the letter.
No, I know I get decimal.
For which one? The last one? Which equation did you plug it into? F or G? F. It should work out. How did you solve it?
6x.
Well, that would be the problem. That's 98, not 48.
That's what I mean. 98.
Oh.
I didn't.
Okay, what was your first step after that?
You subtract the 8.
Okay.
And then you get 90 equals 6x.
Okay.
Divided by 6.
Okay,
5.
that works out evenly.
You can do that.
Yeah, you can do that.
Like, divided by 6. Something later.
It's like what's
All right, that's on that.
Don't forget to like.